Welcome back to the Ball and Breakfast podcast. I'm here with Wayne Pua. I'm Patrick Miller, ready to kick off this NFL playoff preview. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, please, leave us a review, subscribe to the channels. And if you can, dig back into our vault as we had a preseason NFL preview episode. We went through the AFC, NFC, we went through players, coaches for awards, and then we actually went through the playoffs and who we thought would win it all. Kind of going through that, just one thing to kind of throw out as far as Super Bowl predictions go. All the teams that we picked to do that are still in this, and that's an exciting thing. But Wayne and I wanted to kind of share some of our areas where we were right and areas where we were wrong for this season. But I guess, Wayne, did you have any, things that you were essentially like proud of as far as predictions go preseason? Any things that like you totally messed up and, looking back in hindsight, you're like, what was I thinking?
Yeah, I like that. Let's start with the wins. I like the wins a little bit better. I think defensive player of the year. I mean, I think Parsons is a little bit into it, but I think Bosa's probably, I think he's the favorite for that right now. But I think my biggest win though is Sauce Gardner for defensive rookie of the year. Had probably, I think he had like the best rating or something like that, or PFF ranked him as the best corner, gave him the best pass grade or pass defensive grade. So I think that was probably the biggest win. I knew I kind of went on a limb on it because, cornerbacks normally don't win this award. So I know the award hasn't been given out yet, but you compare his season, I think, and the impact he made to that Jets defense, especially early on in the season when they were just dominating on the defensive end, compared to that his season to maybe some of the other defensive rookies. I mean, Hutchinson is probably his closest competition, or Tariq Woolen. Tariq Woolen had a hell of a season too. I would probably rank Tariq Woolen number 2, but I think Sauce Gardner, in my opinion, probably got the number 1, I think he's the favorite right now. And then Tariq Woolen, in my opinion, it should be number 2, and then like Hutchinson. So that's probably what I would rank in terms of, I guess, like the one that I went out on a limb for there. And I guess my biggest disappointment for me, team wise, it's probably got to be the Ravens. I know they're in the playoffs, so there's like still a chance. But it doesn't look good. It does not look good at all. Lamar, you had a good start to the season. And he just ran into injuries. The injury bug kind of caught up to them again, but specifically with Lamar, a little bit more so of. So, I know he's in his contract year. There's a lot of, talk about, is he going to get extended and all that. He's not making the best case for himself right now. So, but, we'll see what happens in the offseason. But, yeah, I think that was probably my biggest disappointment, just because of, I think I picked them to was it possibly go all the way there. So or at least out of the AFC. So like all those things I had there, kind of disappointed in how that all ended up. But yeah, what are your thoughts? And yeah, what are maybe some of your wins and not so nice wins, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens was a bad break. I mean, right now we don't really know, where Lamar Jackson's status is for this weekend, the playoffs. So that will definitely affect how far, this Ravens, team can go. But it just seems like every year we kind of walk in and we look at the Ravens and we're like, man, they got Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews. They're traditionally a good defense, a great coached team. Good GM, like love the organization. It's like each year you kind of go in with this optimism and maybe sometimes, thinking this team could go all the way. And it's like, I don't know, there's something about the Ravens that's like they're a little bit, maybe stuck in neutral right now. With Lamar Jackson hitting free agency, that's a big question mark. And that would change the face of that entire franchise if they happen to go in another direction. But we're complaining about maybe a team that's perennially in the playoffs. I mean, I'd love to have that problem if I was a fan of any team, to be honest with you. So, we'll see what happens. Knock on wood, if you're a Ravens fan, that, the team decides to put a contract forth for Lamar Jackson. I know he's a little bit injury marred there, but in the same sense, like his upside, when he is on the field, he's a game changer.
Yeah.
For me, I think the thing I took the most pride in, just kind of looking back, was picking the Eagles to have kind of a breakout year. I loved what I saw the year prior, just kind of, you know, clicking on all cylinders on defense. The offense was starting to cobble it together with Jalen Hurts. They were still a weapon shy of kind of taking that next step, at least on offense. And this just whole offseason, the trade for AJ Brown, I thought was so big for them. I thought that was a destroyer for the Titans. I think that's why, both of us kind of picked the Colts, unfortunately, to, kind of take that division. But it was like, what are the Titans really thinking here? And, just kind of see them roll into this year, top graded O-line, great D, with those weapons, like they just took an extra step. So I'm just proud to kind of put my my pick out there. I know the Cowboys are usually a popular pick as well, and they're right in the mix. But that was one thing. Justin Jefferson is possible offensive player of the year. I think you and I were debating whether or not he could hit 2,000 yards receiving. I was thinking maybe he'd be a tick under Cooper Kupp's record breaking season last year, but not by much. 1,800 yards. I think he had 7 or 8 touchdown catches. I mean, over 100 receptions. It's like that guy just dominated for the Vikings. So, again, another player that, we had our eye on, and he definitely lived up to expectations there. The negative side, I think maybe me more so than you, but put a lot of stock into the Packers and the Bucks. I think I had them both ranked like the top 2 seeds coming into this year for the NFC. Completely wrong, at least for the Packers, number 1, just completely kind of shit in the bed to kick off their year, and, never really got the offense established and going. And even the defense didn't really seem like suffocating as I thought it might be. The run game was obviously didn't carry them to many victories, but I thought this might be like a 49ers type team. And, they really didn't step out all season until the very, very end. So they came up, a bit short against the Lions, and, the rest is history. And the Bucks as well. I mean, I like Tom Brady in the playoffs. I always feel pretty good about that. But 8-9, they looked old, they looked slow, they were beat up for most of the year, and they were competing to the very end with the likes of the Panthers, Saints, and Falcons in that division. So it's just not much to get excited about there. But again, once we start the playoffs, everything starts at 0. So we kind of go back to the matchups and kind of where it all goes. But I don't know. Did you have any other thoughts about any of those picks or thoughts?
I mean, I think we both picked the Bucks to win the Super Bowl and everything, and they are still in the playoffs. Anything can happen. It's just to your say, they definitely have not played up to the level that I think we kind of were expecting. And Shaq Barrett, he's out for the year, so that's their defense is still really solid overall. But when you add in a Shaq Barrett, he's a difference maker, So that it's I guess just hard for probably both of us to see them advancing too far. But I will say, and both of us kind of talked about this a little bit, I think both of us picked not the Rams to win the NFC West. So I think, from a Super Bowl winner who had, a lot of their players intact, I think they just kind of lost Von Miller. And for a team like that just came off a Super Bowl, you would think that maybe they would, at least maybe make the playoffs or something like that. But I think both of us saw that. I think there's going to be a little bit more of a lull this coming season. So I think that's okay. I think we were both thinking the same thing with regards to that, at least. So, but yeah. And
I'll give an extra shout out for what we were wrong about in terms of our fantasy sleepers.
Oh, so God.
I was laughing looking at the list of Darnell Mooney, Jamison Crowder. I was so high on Gabe Davis, and he was just completely average. Javonte Williams got injured. And then Mike Williams had a good year, but he didn't really go above and beyond. So we got 5 X's on that one for sure.
Yeah, I like it. You wrote to me in the notes all bust, in capital letters and everything. So yeah.
Extra painful, but I guess with that, if you're listening, go back to that video, go check it out if you're at all interested in seeing us in the past and what we were thinking at that time and what we were, failing to foresee here. But moving into the playoffs, we got the AFC matchup set, the NFC as well. I think I'll just kick it off with AFC, keep it alphabetical here. But in the same sense, I'll go through, the matchups that are lined up, and then you and I, feel free to weigh in on each one. The first one, looking at the 5-4 matchup between the Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This can be a good matchup in my perspective. I mean, both teams are coming in hot. For the Chargers, they've won 4 of last 5. They're a decent road team, but, kind of just looking at them, they're very good against the pass, not very good against the run on defense. And then you look at they're a top passing team. So going against the Jacksonville Jaguars are pretty much middle of the road when it comes to defense and offense. The only thing I'm looking at is kind of this dynamic of, Justin Herbert, being able to take this next step and bringing this team, into another level. We both had high hopes for the Chargers going into this year, and you love what you see on paper. It's just kind of like maybe a Ravens type situation where it's like they're just not moving at the pace that I think they should be with, the amount of money they spend, with what they've done with their roster. It's tantalizing when you look at it. But, what's crazy about this is, Jacksonville was dead in the water to kick off this year. I think at one point they were 3-6, and they've won 7 of their last 9, and they're on a 5-game winning streak. And they just look like they, play with a ton of heart. Doug Peterson's done an incredible job of just putting this team back together after Urban Meyer completely destroyed it. And, watching that AFC South championship game between the Titans and Jaguars last week, just to kind of, feel like it was low scoring, and neither team looked like they wanted to take it. And then just at the very end, Rayshon Jenkins comes in with a corner blitz, pops it out. And then in the same sense, Josh Allen took it to the house, and that's the defensive end, not the quarterback for the Bills. But in any case, I guess what I'm getting at is, as much as I love the Chargers, as much as the stats probably would say, this offense is going to pound that defense, that may be the case, but I just have this gut feeling that the Jaguars are going to hold serve at home. And I just really like the character of this team. And I think a big victory here would say a lot for them going into next year.
Yeah. I have the Jaguars too. I agree with, everything you said. I think the key thing is Doug Peterson, right? When in the NFL and the NFL playoffs, right, that's definitely where the coaching, I definitely feel like, stands out. We heard all this explanations about Staley, like keeping in his starters in this kind of meaningless game, right? This last game, and then it's like, oh, Mike Williams, he was like kind of banged up. I think they're all ready to go, like him and Bosa, but it's like, why would you do things like that? And it definitely feels like Staley is always kind of behind on a lot of decision makings like that, where Peterson, he's a Super Bowl winning coach, one with Foles and everything. Like, he certainly didn't have, I guess, the best, last season with the Eagles, but still has a lot of capability, and, really showcased that, I think, here with the Jaguars, with his new team here. So, I like the Jags here. I think the Chargers, they've had a decent season, considering like they had a lot of injuries, and I think that's where I don't see them advancing too much in these playoffs. So Jags, hot team, good coach, better coach right now. So I have definitely the Jags here too.
Sounds good. In our next matchup, we have the number 6 Baltimore Ravens against the number 3 Cincinnati Bengals. This one, if Lamar Jackson is healthy, it's a completely different game. This is a different prediction. But kind of looking at where things stand right now, he's not really fully recovered from that PCL injury. Even Tyler Huntley, his backup, is fighting shoulder and wrist injuries. And they're at their number 3 quarterback, Anthony Brown. And it's like, I just, I can try to analytically deep dive into this team, but they're kind of coming in, they're a very good rushing team. In the past, they're near the bottom just based on, Lamar Jackson, the makeup of their offense, kind of running back heavy, but, coming in kind of, not really winning a lot of games, been very below average 10 this season here. I think they're on a 2-game losing streak, and, kind of looking across from them, you got a team that's got a 96-point, scoring differential in the Cincinnati Bengals. They're an elite passing offense. They're, top 5 rush D. And they essentially got a bye week against the Buffalo Bills when DeMar Hamlin went down. So it's like they're on an 8-game winning streak right now. They're well rested. Joe Burrow, just, I mean, he's, you know, dovetailing everything he did last season into this one. I mean, he's a legitimate, you know, top 5 quarterback in this game. The receiving core is, you know, out of this world. And I just feel like that team, you know, even in the DeMar Hamlin situation, probably came together even closer, having, you know, experienced the exact same thing as the Bills. It just wasn't their teammates. So I feel like, you know, at home, you know, I see this one being very, you know, lopsided one side, and see the Bengals moving on pretty easily here.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And, you know, I'm looking at, I guess, the line here. It's like -6.5. And I would be paying attention to that if Lamar is not ready to go. And even if he is, quite honestly, but if he's not ready to go, I'm going to take that. Like, it's definitely, I feel like it's going to be a blowout if there's no Lamar Jackson here. So, you know, this Bengals team is playing hot. They are one of the hottest teams out there. So, and you're going against Ravens team that's just beaten up, having their best player out. And yeah, just has had an up and down season, not having much momentum heading into the postseason. So I think even with Lamar Jackson, you know, this game is the Bengals anyways. So
yeah, that was going to be my question to you, is like, what happens if Lamar Jackson suits up and he, you know, comes in like Shane Falco out of nowhere? It's like, I just, you know, again, Bengals top 5 rush D. They've been on it all year, and I think blow for blow, they can go with them offensively. So, yeah, I just don't see this as being much of a contest, but I think we're pretty settled there.
Yeah. And one more thing is that it's like, even, like going back to the whole idea with Lamar Jackson, even if he does show up to the playoffs, he's kind of stunk it up in the playoffs and everything. So I think he has like a 60 quarterback rating. So, which is like the worst, I think, out of, like, you know, if you've started like at least, you know, a couple playoff games. So even if he does show up, it's not looking good, I think. Especially against a hot Bengals team.
Yeah, maybe this is a debate for another day, but, you know, kind of looking at a guy like Deshaun Watson too. I mean, similar type of skill set as Lamar. Lamar's probably more of an elite runner, but it's like just gauging, you know, whether or not a rushing style quarterback can translate into victories, can translate into, you know, playoff victories in that sense. And like, we love the offensive production, we love what we see on the field, but, you know, you kind of have to have a little mix of both to, I feel like, take that next step as a quarterback in this game.
Yep.
Looking at the 7-2 matchup between the Miami Dolphins, Buffalo Bills, this is the exact same situation as the Ravens. Tua, we are just not sure. I mean, he's had 3 concussions this year. I truly hope he doesn't play. I think he should have some real serious talks about, you know, having a career at this point in football. I think that's just something you probably don't want to mess with, especially at the quarterback position. But it's kind of a coin flip right now between, you know, Teddy Bridgewater being injured, similar to Huntley, and Skylar Thompson, a 7th round rookie this year, taking the reins at quarterback. I mean, luckily they won the game by a, you know, very slim margin against the Jets to you know, secure that last playoff spot. But in the same sense, you know, going into these playoffs, you know, just kind of on a skid. You know, they've lost 4 of 5. They're 3-6 on the road. Their differential for the total year in points is -2. You know, they're high in pass touchdowns, they're high in passing, and it's like you're missing your passer. So looking across the field from you is the Buffalo Bills. They're 7-1 at home. They've won 7 in a row. Their differential is 169 points. And they've actually probably done a lot more on the defensive side than surprisingly on the offensive side this year. I mean, they have one of the top pass and rush defenses in the league. And, you know, rushing offense is pretty elite with Josh Allen at the helm. And, you know, their cast of characters on offenses is, you know, near the top of the league in terms of, you know, talent around Josh. So, man, just no chance. If there's any snow, if there's any cold, I mean, that's just another element to add to, you know, Miami's list there to kind of like overcome. And yeah, I just do not see this. This is going to be another lopsided victory. And I think an easy second round entrance for the Bills.
Yeah. If there's no Tua, this game's basically going to be like TCU versus Georgia. Like, it's going to be a blowout, you know. So I think again, looking at the betting odds here, it's -10. So, you know, if there's no Tua, again, I think is going to be a blowout. So yeah, keep an eye on all that.
For sure. The team we didn't talk about is the Kansas City Chiefs. They've got a first round bye. Equally as impressive as the Bills, in my opinion. You know, the top passing offense in the entire league. You know, I think just having an extra week and, you know, playing the Jacksonville Los Angeles Chargers, winner. Should be a pretty good, first round matchup for them as well. We won't get into the full of the second round or what have you. I'm going to pass it over to Wayne to cover the NFC, and we'll go matchup by matchup there.
Yeah. So first one I got here is Cowboys versus Bucks. So, I kind of look at both teams, and both of them kind of like had high expectations, I guess, going into the season. Maybe the Bucks more so of, but they're here, which I guess is something. So yeah, both teams stumbling in. Cowboys defense just has not played up to par the past couple of games. They still have some of their playmakers, but for whatever reason, yeah, the defensive scheme, the coaching or whatever, you can blame whatever, but it just hasn't shown up to par. They used to kind of be that dominant type of defense, with the pass rush and being able to create turnovers. So offense has been kind of, lethargic here and there as well. So there definitely is a lot of questions, I think, from the Cowboys perspective. But yeah, also the same thing with the Bucks in a way too. Their offense has been pretty anemic. Brady's kind of been, I was looking at all his wide receivers averages for catches and stuff like that. They're pretty anemic just in general. So I think, Goodwin or Godwin, and then like Mike Evans, I think Godwin, he did have 100 catches, but they were like all below 10 yards per catch, which is pretty nuts, I think, for a wide receiver, even if they are possession wide receivers. So, but yeah, I think overall, this is definitely was the hardest one, I think, to pick here, but I actually have the Cowboys taking this. I think their pass rush will get to Brady and affect him. We've always seen that whenever there is a pass rush that gets to Brady, that usually has some consequences there. The Bucks did actually beat the Cowboys in the first game of the season, so I'll give them that. But at the same time, I just have a feeling I think the Cowboys are gonna pull this one off. I think they'll be able to run the ball a little bit and just make some plays and get the victory here.
Yeah, there's not a lot within the stats or, how the teams have gone throughout the course of the year that's going to, swing my argument here. I'm just going off completely emotion, history, gut feel. I just feel like Cowboys to me are a franchise and a team that just lack a lot of heart. They have all the talent in the world, I feel like, especially on the offensive side. Dak this is a make or break year for him, in my opinion. Like, if they go first round exit, not only would I consider McCarthy on the chopping block here, but I'd really look at Dak and see how this performance goes for him, because how many more seasons of Dak with CeeDee Lamb, with Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard, others, can you go before you kind of take that critical thought about what is this guy like? Can he take the next step, or is he just, game manager who can get you to the playoffs, and that's pretty much all you can really bank on? We know what Tom Brady's upside is. I mean, he's old. He's 45. That team was really bad this year. I mean, negative 45-point differential is just atrocious. They look like shells of their former selves from their Super Bowl year, but they are at home. This is gonna be a competitive game for sure. I'm just gonna give a slight edge to Tampa Bay here and just overcoming and winning a big one here.
Yeah, no, for sure. Historically too. So yeah, we've all known that the Cowboys are pretty awful in the playoffs, but yeah, if the Cowboys do win, this would be their first road playoff win since 1992. So yeah, history definitely is going against them there. That's 30 years. Holy cow. So yeah. So if you want to go the historical route and based off everything else off of like Tom Brady and all that, yeah, maybe pick the Bucks here. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna go with the Cowboys. I think they're gonna have enough offense, and then yeah, I don't think that I think the Bucks offense is gonna be anemic here, but that's just my thinking, at least on that. So but yeah, I guess then moving on to Giants versus the Vikings here. So I think this will be a great matchup, actually. There's definitely been this talk, I think, with the Vikings having a crazy season, right? Like, how many one-score games did they win? How many crazy comebacks? It's definitely been a magical season. And they've actually, even though they've scored, I think, more, 400 some odd points, right? They actually do have a negative balance in terms of the points against too. So their defense has not played that great. It's been just a crazy season, I think, for the Vikings overall. And with the Giants, came in kind of this came to the season with really no expectations. And Dable has really done a fantastic job. So for me, I actually have the Giants pulling off an upset here against the Vikings. I do know that the Vikings did beat the Giants in their regular season matchup here by a 61-yard field goal by Joseph. So, and they will be playing, in Minnesota again. But I'm thinking that Dable, he's going to have a better plan. Also, Martingale, again, the coaching aspect, I feel like the Giants coaching just really elevated them this season. I think they'll play inspired. So I have the Giants taking this one. Very close game, but yeah, I still have them taking this one.
Yeah, I hear all the arguments against the Vikings. I mean, I've seen, a lot of articles and analysis about how they have a negative differential. And we've obviously watched a lot of games prime time or on Sundays that really have come down to like the last quarter, sometimes the last play. And it's just like, this team is a heart attack special like every week. And I think that's why people are kind of dogging them. But you got to give a team credit for, coming up and, winning a lot of games. I think, was it 12 wins, 13 wins this year?
I think it's 13. Might have been 13.
13 wins. So, I mean, it's hard for me to sit back and kind of slight them. And, if they were playing an opponent that I felt like was a dark horse or was like a Tampa Bay type team where, you can't take them lightly, even if they had like an underwhelming season. I just feel like the Giants, like they also had a negative point differential. They're not an offense that's going to overpower you. I mean, if anything, they're going to probably play the run a lot with Barkley and Jones. And, I think Hodgins and Richie James have stepped up as wide receivers this year for the Giants, but it's like they've never really established, a true receiving core. Vikings, I mean, I love what they do on offense. The second best passing offense in the game, and they've got Dalvin Cook behind center. It's like with the Giants not being one of the better rush defensive teams in the year on the year or what have you, it's just like I feel like there could be some holes there for, Cook in the offense to kind of expose. And, like Dak Prescott, I think this is a year where Kirk Cousins is going to be put, back in the spotlight, a lot of pressure on him. And I know people want to doubt him. And I just have seen him overcome a lot of things this year in prime time or, just in the kind of emotional victories to kind of pull it out. I mean, the Bills one definitely, stands out in my mind as one of their best victories of the year on the road. But, I think this team's got, some heart. They've got some guts. And I like them in the first round. I like them at home. And I'm just going to pick the Minnesota Vikings here and in a decent victory. I don't think it's going to be any sort of landslide. I think it'll be a close game, but I think the Vikings will win.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I think this is definitely a tough one too. And I think Vegas has them like -3 as well. So in favor of the Vikings. So it's definitely, I think, just a good matchup overall. So it'll be an entertaining game for two teams that I feel like, not too many expectations were coming into the season, but kind of really just gutted out a bunch of games. So, and I think then moving on to 49ers versus the Seahawks here. So Seahawks, man, like I think it was definitely a surprising season for a lot of fans. They're losing Russell Wilson with all that controversy, all the back and forths and drama that was kind of going around there. Really came into the season again, without too much expectations coming in. And Geno Smith, man, gotta love that story that he has. Probably going to be, comeback player of the year and everything. But him, the Seahawks, and what they were able to do, I think that's phenomenal. But then, you look at what's happening to the 49ers, man, the hottest team with 10 wins in a row, even with, a rotation of different quarterbacks coming in and out, and then, now they're at the Brock Purdy, a rookie quarterback. So pretty nuts what's been able to happen, I think, for the 49ers. If Shanahan didn't already have like a track record of being a great coach, I think he would probably be up for coach of the year, honestly. Again, with all the shifts and things like that happening with that team at the quarterback position. But, great, I think, from a roster perspective, like they're probably like as good as any team out there. Offensive line, defense, the entire defense. I think we already talked about Nick Bosa probably going to be Defensive Player of the Year, and then just great quarterback and play calling or a great play calling from Shanahan to utilize Brock Purdy's skill set. So I have 49ers taking this. Sorry, Seahawks fans out there. I don't want to give if this is going to be a blowout or not or anything like that, but I do feel pretty good, I think, for the 49ers heading into this hot and, going against a team that they know. But, it'll be interesting to see, though, since they are a divisional rival and, what happens with Geno. And, I think if there is a chance for the Seahawks to win this game, they have to create some turnovers. And that's going to be hard because guess who leads the league in turnover differences? It is the 49ers. So, they're going to have to make some uncharacteristic things. They're going to kind of have to hurt themselves. So, overall, I'm going to pick the 49ers here.
Yeah, I mean, I tip my cap to Pete Carroll and the Seahawks this year because I think going in, they were one of my, lottery teams. I figured they'd be probably in the top 3 of the draft order, and it's just going to be a really ugly season. And they completely held their own. Like you're saying, Geno Smith stepped out. Kenny Walker became a 1,000-yard back. The receiving core was really solid with Lockett, Metcalf. Just like the components of this team, the defense, Tariq Woolen as a rookie had one of the best, passer ratings against for a corner. I am missing another rookie playmaker of theirs that really stepped out this year. But while you think about that, Wayne, Jordan Brooks is going to be out for the season at linebacker. That's a tough blow for them, just in terms of kind of fortifying that defense. But in the same sense, they're going against another buzzsaw. I mean, 10 straight wins for the 49ers. Their point differential against teams is 173 to the Seahawks' 6. They've beat the Seahawks twice this year. Third, everyone's is third time a charm. I don't think so. Just seeing how quickly Brock Purdy could come in and, establish the offense and, love McCaffrey, love, Debo and George Kittle as another option. It's just this team definitely has a lot to go on. And, I think Purdy, we'll see what his upside is for the rest of the playoffs, but he's got a lot of poise. And, the second he stepped into that role, he was pretty much flawless. I mean, as a game manager, and then also just as he was getting mid to upper level of kind of passing numbers, I think, on a weekly basis. And in a fantasy perspective, I think he was, easily a no doubt starter. He's a top 12 quarterback to kind of close out the season. So just really impressed by him in year one. And if that's the case, if Purdy can have, even a decent playoff run here, I mean, what's the future hold for guys like Trey Lance or Jimmy G? It's they might be packing their bags and trying to find, some work elsewhere next year.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of speculation, I think, about Jimmy G. It's all right, who needs his former offensive coordinator and Josh McDaniels over there in Vegas. So a lot of speculation, I think, that's happening there. So, overall, this will be definitely an interesting, I think, playoffs, and seeing what happens with Brock Purdy. What kind of quarterback is he? We oftentimes see different kind of quarterbacks being in the regular season than they are in the postseason. So see if he has some poise in him to get some pass rushes from the Micah Parsons of the world and in the highest stages, right? So and then just capping off with the team that has the bye here. The Eagles, your team there. Started off the season really, really hot and everything. And then obviously Jalen Hurts got hurt, but overall, their defense is, in my opinion, probably the scariest defense out there, even with Josh Sweat being injured. I don't think they've completely ruled him out of the playoffs, but I know they kind of took him out on a stretcher. But still, even, without him, that defensive front is probably one of the best in all of football. They led the league in sacks by a lot. I think they had 70 sacks this season. I think the next closest team was 55. So pretty crazy what they were able to do from the defensive end. And then, with Darius Slay as well, getting a bunch of picks for him. Bradbury also, great acquisition there too. So I think their defense definitely stands out, and they should really be, I think, a force in these playoffs from there. So, yeah.
For sure. I'm on board with the Eagles, and them being a number one seed definitely makes me feel good just preseason wise, but I also just really like the character makeup of that team as well. Looking back at the AFC, kind of going over to the NFC too, we're going to talk about conference title games. Before the year in the AFC, I believe Wayne had the Ravens over the Chargers, and I personally had the Bills over the Chargers. I guess going into this year, I think the favorites are just going to play their way to this, this conference title game. I think it's going to be a rematch of the semifinal last year between the Chiefs and Bills. I cannot wait for this matchup to happen. I really hope nothing underdoggy happens on that side of the bracket, because that's all I want to see. All I want to see is Mahomes, Allen for, the AFC title. Joe Burrow is a sneaky guy. I think he's a really great quarterback. I love that team. But I just got a feeling about Buffalo KC, so I'm going to go there. But Wayne, do you have any other thoughts on the AFC?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I want KC versus Buffalo, but when I'm gonna pick the Bengals actually. Okay. Taking out the Bills here. I definitely am for the Magic, right? They seem like a team. I think I keep on hearing that the Bills are like a team of destiny. There's a lot of like crazy stuff happening out there. We saw was it Hine, right, with the kick return touchdown and everything after what's happened with Hamlin and the emotional things that are happening with the team and everything. So I get all that. I definitely want the Bills to be there, but Joe Burrow and those kids are crazy over there, I feel like, and yeah, they're definitely hot. So for me, yeah, I have in that matchup, I have the final is going to be KC versus the Bengals for me.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I could see that game going either way. That semifinal between the Bengals Bills, the one that didn't get played out in the regular season, but that should be an absolute shootout. Whoever ends up meeting, I guess, in the AFC for the title. But on the NFC side, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that one I do have straight up top seeds there. So I do have the Eagles versus the Niners there. I just see, they honestly have probably the best roads. This entire like NFC, I feel like it's just not as good. Like the teams that are in the bottom rung, like they kind of just rolled in, if you will, after like maybe even up a hot start, or maybe they kind of barreled in, like just playing kind of mediocre 500 type of football. So yeah, I like both the 49ers and the Eagles here, just because they have been the best teams, I think, predominantly like most of the season in the NFC. I think and 49ers kind of had a rough start, but then especially after that McCaffrey trade, like they just went to another level. So and their defense certainly stepped up. So yeah, I'm picking Eagles 49ers out of the NFC.
I'm with you. I've got the same matchup. I think the favorites just kind of ride their way to the Super Bowl. Just both teams. I mean, like you're saying, San Fran's kind of the team of the second half. Philly's, for me at least, the team of the year on the NFC side of things. But leading the way with their defense, the way they have established their offenses. I just think they each have a lot of playmakers on both sides of the ball. It's just overwhelming, comparative to the field in the NFC. So I just see both teams kind of coasting their way to that title game.
Yeah, no, it should be, I think, a great a fight here. But yeah, now I guess I'm curious, like, who do you got playing in the Super Bowl now?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Buffalo against Philly. I just feel like these are the two teams that I was most excited about going into the year. Two teams that I think have really, lived up to their expectations. Blow for blow, I think it's going to be a great game. I think Philly will probably come with a little bit more, defensive firepower. Not to say that they don't have, the same kind of offense, but I could see Bills leaning more on the offensive side and kind of Philly, throwing their weight around on the defensive side. So I just, this matchup is going to be great. I feel like Hurts established himself, this season, whereas I feel like Josh did that last year. Jalen kind of came up short in the playoffs as of last year against the Tampa Bay Bucks, going out early. I think this year he learns a lot about kind of the road that it takes to get to the Super Bowl and the road it takes to be a champion. I think Josh has kind of already paid some of those dues. I think he's a little bit more experienced in that position. I think the Bills are as well, just a team that's, come really close. And it was only the semis, but it was like, I think everybody just kind of, expected the winner of that game to win it all. So I just think they're the emotional favorite this year. And I've just got them going over against the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to see that matchup, but yeah, I did pick the Bengals here. So, and I am actually going to pick, the Bengals to beat the Kansas City Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl here. I to be honest, I feel like the Chiefs are a little bit of a worse squad actually. And simply put, the Bengals are a little bit of a better squad. They revamped their offensive line. I know they've had some injuries recently, but I think they have enough depth actually on their offensive line to actually kind of overcome that enough, given all the weapons that they've had. Defense is playing a lot better than they even were last year, I feel like. So heading into this postseason. So I have the Bengals going to the Super Bowl, going against the Eagles here. I think they will advance. It's just hard to pick, I guess, with Brock Purdy over there. I think that'll be much more of the difference maker. I think, with the Eagles, that, they did lead the league in sacks and everything. They'll be able to get some pressure, I think, on Purdy, even with all the gadget plays and misdirection that Shanahan can offer there. I feel like the Eagles are just playing on a different level than any other team in the NFC. Even the team that has won 10 games in a row there. So, with Jalen Hurts as the leading them and everything, I feel like he's kind of the quarterback that they need to take them to the Super Bowl here. So, yeah.
And it even seems like for the Eagles, a lot of their stumbles toward the end of the year were just in part to Jalen Hurts being injured. So it was like that just kind of took them off of their own run. But if they can just kind of establish some momentum in some of these earlier matchups that they'll have after another bye, which just buy Hurts some time, I think they can get cruising again. I like the Bengals pick as a sneaky pick. This is kind of an aside, but I do a playoff pool in my family, and we kind of, we have 7 people, and we kind of take picks, and then, whatever card you pick, you get kind of snake style draft, just in that draft order or what have you. So I picked number 7, and I was like, damn, I'm going to end up with like 2 mediocre teams. And the Bengals fell to me, and so did the Bucks. And I was just kind of like, man, looking at this Bengals team, I was kind of excited about them. Like if they happen to, get a big victory over the Bills, I mean, they could easily parlay that momentum and just what they have in roster to, Kansas City and kind of have a, underdog type story, even though they were in the Super Bowl last year. This isn't, a surprise to anybody. It's not like they haven't been there before. And if they get there this year, it definitely won't be a surprise. I think they'll just be, one of the newer, top dogs in that league, and they'll start getting the respect they, deserve at this point. So no, I think that's a great pick. Looking at the numbers just based on differential and, their offensive defensive ranks, it's like, yeah, you're right. They're right there. So why aren't we talking about them more? So we'll see where this goes. I think Allen and Mahomes catch all the headlines, but, if Burrow can do it, he'll start to be, the top dog at quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, I like his attitude. Is he a little cocky? Yes, but if he wins the Super Bowl, then he's kind of matching it all. So can't knock him for that. And I mean, I think with the Bengals versus the Bills, I think one other point there is that the Bills safeties, like they've gotten a lot of injuries there, right? With Micah Hyde, not being there. So, that's where I see that there's, maybe some weakness. I think they definitely need that level of talent in the secondary if you're going to go against the Bengals and all their wide receiver talent. So I think that's where I was like, I feel like the Bengals are a good matchup, I think, for the Bills, as much as I want the Bills to fulfill this whole team of destiny, everything after they've all, everything they've been through. So, yeah.
Gotcha. I'm really a big fan of those top 3 teams in the AFC. I even like the Chiefs. I know they have won one. They've, been in the Super Bowl at another point too. It's just kind of like, I like Mahomes. I like kind of this idea of, some of the top quarterbacks in the league challenging Brady for, who can win more Super Bowls. And it felt like Mahomes was on that path, and unfortunately got that loss to Brady, which kind of I felt like maybe settled it. But in the same sense, it's kind of like I love watching these guys kind of chase, and Hurts is starting to join. He's not quite there, but I think this season he could easily be up for the MVP. It's just kind of, is that sustainable? Can he do it again? Is that the kind of play or play style that's gonna keep you in the mix year in, year out? So we'll have to see, but that should be a great playoff bracket coming up here. So obviously you and I will be tuning in. But did you have any other lasting thoughts on the NFL season or the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I would love, I guess with the whole Patrick Mahomes thing, right? Like, I don't think he has a better offensive talent around him this season, which is kind of one of the reasons, I guess, that I chose them not to go to the Super Bowl. But Mahomes, like, in terms of if you really want to think about it, like without Tyreek Hill, right? This is probably one of his best seasons, actually, given everything that's happened with losing Hill. And then, having the current talent pool that he has right now, kind of like a makeshift of like whatever wide receivers we could get. Obviously, it was Juju Smith-Schuster, like having him kind of fill in at least for 1 year, right? In there, kudos to Patrick Mahomes. And with even obviously Kelsey is definitely a big part. Like he is basically their lead wide receiver, but still, I think, in my opinion, he's trying to be MVP, played all the games and everything, not to nag and say like, hey, if you're injured, you can't win an MVP, but he played all the games. They have, a number 1 seed in the AFC. So for me, I would pick Mahomes as my MVP over Jalen Hurts. That being said, you can't knock Jalen Hurts, just for getting injured, I guess, in that sense. But for me, at least, I feel like Patrick Mahomes deserves the MVP. But great season by Jalen Hurts and the Eagles overall. So, but yeah, I don't know. Should be a fun, I think, title matchup here. So, did we say who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I thought we did. I said the Buffalo Bills would, beat the Eagles.
Oh, okay.
And I'm assuming you picked the Bengals over the Eagles. Is that?
Yeah. I don't think I ever declared that, but I will say,
okay.
Yeah. Yes, I declare Joe Burrow. There's going to be so many memes. I think that's going to happen once he wins the Super Bowl. But yeah, I am picking the Bengals over the Eagles to win the 2023 Super Bowl there.
That sounds pretty good. This is a super footnote, but the player I was thinking of on the Seahawks that had one of the more elite passer rating percentages against was Ryan Neal, safety of the Seahawks. So if there is a chance in hell that they can beat the 49ers on the road in that first matchup against, San Fran, they'll need some elite, coverage, they'll need some elite defense, and then obviously a lot of playmaking, but that's a super footnote to this episode. I'd hate to break on the NFL before talking Bears. So I will make the obvious statement here that the Bears got the number 1 pick. Wayne and I were obviously ecstatic. Texans have no idea what was going on, but so happy that Lovie Smith was coaching that. I feel like if he knew he was getting fired, obviously there could be like a great, laugh that he could have after the game, or maybe a chuckle with some former Bears players of kind of handing off that top pick to him. But, he got fired on his way out, and, just talking to people and hearing Chicago podcasts and looking at articles, it already seems like, folks are talking about all these, scenarios of who we could take number 1, who we could, wheel and deal with in 1, 2, 3 trades down. It's like, it's tantalizing, man. I'm just so happy that, we're finally in the driver's seat of the offseason, and we have probably the most money to spend, a franchise quarterback that I think we could get behind. Obviously passing skills need to be improved, but it's just like, to just think that the slate's been wiped a little bit and we can like move forward with some optimism is a great sign. So I know you have some thoughts here, and I'll just kick it back over to you.
Dude, yeah, I've done like 100 different mock drafts already, I feel like, in the past like 2 days. So No, it's nuts. I'm definitely gonna go to the NFL draft in Kansas City. So I'm looking at, Airbnbs. They're definitely not going for cheap. And there's probably gonna be an influx of Chicagoans that have looked up, hotel prices, flight prices, etc. So in the past couple of days. So I'm excited. Yeah, first pick, like over $100 million in salary cap. And yeah, there's also two quarterbacks that we're probably gonna be trade or getting some bidders on to really up the value there. So very excited about that. And so yeah, we'll probably do like a future episode on breaking all that down. I already have some thoughts of like all these things that we could do, but yeah, I'm very excited, I think, as a Bears fan.
Definitely. So we'll see what happens. Crossing our fingers here for Bears success. I mean, hopefully no draft day blunders or pre-draft blunders. Like, we just can't take it as a city anymore. So this just has to be filled with good things. Just please, just make this good. Just make this really, really good. If I could throw out one thing, look at the Texans first. I mean, they are highest up the board. They need a quarterback badly. I'm sure they would give some draft capital for that number 1 pick. And then, at least from there, you can make a decision or two on if you need to move down or if you want to grab like an elite prospect at that 2 slot. Like, that's great. I just, I hope we go through this very systematically. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely a lot that the Bears can do there. You got a lot of quarterback hungry teams out there. I think, yeah, with the Panthers, maybe the Falcons. I don't know if they're set on Ritter there. We talked about the Raiders as well. There's just a lot of different teams out there that I think need a quarterback or want a quarterback. Colts, for sure. I think they're hungry at the 4 spot. So I in my opinion, I'm thinking that they would most likely be pushing there to move up to the number 1. So we'll see what we can do there, though. But yeah, I'm excited.
For sure. So I guess with that, we can close out with some final thoughts. Wayne, did you have anything to bring to the table tonight?
Yeah, I just had some DiGiorno, and they had like a really, really nice, like cheesy crust and everything like that. So, Pat, I'm curious, what is your favorite frozen pizza?
Oh, man, that is such a good question. I'm gonna dig deep into this vault because I will say that I am a fan of frozen pizza. Like, there's always 1 or 2 in my freezer. Just emergencies, guys. Like, if there are emergencies out there, like your house gets hit by a blizzard, you need dinner, like you need to have 1 or 2 of those bad boys like ready to go. All that being said, I'm definitely wasting time here. Home run in pizza from the grocer's freezer, heat it up. That crust is like, it's not a thick crust, it's not a pan pizza like a DiGiorno like you're talking about. It's definitely not a thin crust, but it's like a tweener. It's like a very flaky crust around the edges. It is from Chicago, so anybody who has never been to Home Run, like, try that out. But it's also the ingredients. Like, they put really good quality sausage in there. I just feel like it's a step up from any of the other frozen stuff you can get. So I'm going to give a top-notch plug to Home Run in frozen pizzas. But I will say with a caveat that Costco, I believe it's their cauliflower crust pepperoni supreme pizza with sausage on it and stuff, peppers, onions, the mix. Those are the frozen pizzas that I have in my freezer like 24/7. So while I don't have Home Run in access, I will give a huge salute to them. But in the same sense, like the Costco, 2-pack that you can get supreme, I think it's like $10. It's money, and it's gluten-free crust. It's I think it's cauliflower. Tastes like a normal thin crust pizza. That's my part. That's my piece. Amen for frozen pizza. Wayne, how about you?
Yeah, I definitely prefer the Screamin' Sicilian. Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but yeah,
yes, yes.
I love the toppings. I love the toppings. I think in terms of frozen pizzas, I definitely have had my fair share, I think, of frozen pizzas. So I feel like for me, because of the toppings, the Screamin' Sicilian wins, in my opinion. I remember, like, I would go there to the grocery store and be like, wait, this is like, I think they originally offered us like $13 or something like that. And then slowly they were like, nobody's going to want to buy $13 frozen pizza. And then they just slowly declined it to like, $10, $8 on sale and things like that. So, and then because of that, now I'm like, wow, so this is something that, the team over there thought, yeah, people would be wanting to pay $13 for this, whatever. And then, maybe there's cost or whatever associated to that. I don't care. But I'm like, you know what? This tastes actually worth the $13. Maybe not, but it's close enough to the $13, I think. Because again, yeah, the quality of the toppings, I feel like, for them. So yeah.
No, definitely. I've seen the box. I feel like it doesn't have like a big mouth on the box. With like, yeah, you could see the pizza from outside the box or whatever. But like you're saying, like every time you walk by that pizza aisle, I'm like almost price shopping. I'm like, nah, you're not worth 15. I'm like, yeah, like you're worth 7, but you're on sale for 5. Like I'll grab you today or something like that. But another follow-up question I have: do you tamper with your frozen pizza at all with extra seasonings, toppings, sauces, anything like that, or do you go straight in?
Sometimes, depending, especially even for the Screaming Sicilian, actually, I usually have like some cheeses, some like sliced diced up cheese ready to go, just in case, so I can just put it on there and everything. Yeah, no, like I take my frozen pizza seriously. So, yeah, in case I feel like they haven't cheesed it up to the par that I want, which is pretty cheesy. I'll usually just have, some cheeses I can just sprinkle on there and then just add it more on. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm a complete psychopath when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like I have garlic powder, oregano, and the crushed red pepper ready to go. That gets, doused on the pizza. Then I always bust out the Franks, and I usually go with an option of either the ranch or blue cheese for dipping. Like I love sauce. I love flavor. I love just tampering with stuff. Maybe it's just like the act of doing it. And even sometimes I feel like I'll bust out pickled jalapenos or banana peppers to kind of like throw on top of the Supreme or whatever else, just to like basically eat out, but just do it in my own house and to like, obviously save like $2 per topping on my pizza. So yeah, man. Amen again. Great topic. That was a great final.
I feel like I've been like holding out. So I was like, all right, I gotta pick up some stuff. So I know you would identify with frozen pizza for sure.
No, definitely, man. That definitely strikes a chord within me. Man, my final thought. My old friend is back again with another promotion to get people to come eat at the restaurant. Damn you, Applebee's. You always have to promote. You always have to put stuff on my feed or on my TV screen for commercials. But hey, man, all you can eat at Applebee's, $15, boneless wings, Applebee's riblets, whatever those are, and the double crunch shrimp with endless fries. Wayne, what do you make of this promotion from Applebee's? Why is it happening? And would you dare spend $15 to fill yourself up on this promotion here?
So I feel like Applebee's for you. First off, I feel like Applebee's for you is like an ex, like trying to text you back, being like, "Hey, yo, I got some goodies here. I got $15 bonus wings that I can offer you. You want some?" And it's like, you know what? I've been feeling kind of down of late. It's midnight on a Friday. Let me just go and see what she's all about. So anyway, to answer your question, you know what place I just went to recently? I went to Hooters, actually.
Oh, dude, amen to Hooters, man. Like,
yeah.
Go ahead. I've got some thoughts, but go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, to like your descriptions of like the things with Applebee's and all that. I'm like, okay, maybe not. I'm leaning towards the not because of the quality aspect. I think we've talked before. But then I go to Hooters, and man, I had a good time. Of
course you went to Hooters. Of course you had a good time.
I paid a premium for it, but all in all, it was worth it. So for me, yeah, like I'll think about it. Think Applebee's, but I will look at my dignity and actually like take pride in it and go after Hooters because if you're gonna live one life and everything, you got to eat some good damn wings. I would say so. Yeah.
I don't think there's a man on this planet that's ever taken Hooters to go. I'll put that out there. But I will say this though. I think Hooters wings and a lot of their sides are really underrated. Like I truly believe that. Like I enjoy eating their wings. I like the style of wing that they fry up. I like their sauce selection. They've got some really good sides, and they have like fried pickles that I've had and other cheese doused vehicles as well on the appetizer menu or whatever. But yeah, Hooters is really underrated to me in the wing game. Anyways, I'm missing my thought. We were talking about Applebee's, $15. I just feel it's like, man, I wouldn't go to a soup kitchen if I knew it was all you could eat. It's like, that's kind of where I'm getting at with Applebee's is like, I'm going to spend $15, but I'm going to lose like an hour and a half to 2 hours of my life. Being at your restaurant, not enjoying your wait staff, and then, just feeling the effects the hour after I put your food into my body. So it's like, yeah, man, save your $15. Go to Hooters. Hey, take that money and go to Hooters. I have no idea what meat comes in the Applebee's riblet either, so that kind of freaks me out. I'm just, yeah, man. And here's the other thing: if a company is putting 3 of their top menu items into an all-you-can-eat $15 buffet, it's like you got to start having some like question marks there. It's like, why are they doing this? Like, I know we're fighting inflation still. Like, people are losing their jobs. Like, these big tech companies are just cutting everybody left and right, and like, scaring the living hell out of pretty much anybody who's a working professional here in the world. But yeah, man, $15 can go a long way at the grocery store. I mean, start looking up recipes, talk to your mothers. I mean, figure this out. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But Applebee's, like, shame on you for coming in my DMs. Like, just go away. We need a break. I know, like, an official full break, and I just never want to see you again.
I feel like I'm just trying to picture taking my mom to Hooters now. I think that would be a good time, but no, I'm all for that. Yeah.
Sure, she would appreciate that. Man, well, with that, guys, strap it up. Get ready for NFL football coming up this weekend, starting on Saturday. This is a great time of the year. It's freezing cold outside. It's getting really dark. It's a bit depressing, with everything going on in the world. It's just like every Saturday, Sunday of January is like just a great time. So have some friends over, some cold ones, some wings, whatever you're doing, and enjoy this year, because I think we've got some really great matchups coming up, and we're definitely looking forward to them here at the Ball and Breakfast podcast.
Yeah. Have some frozen pizza and then have some Hooters wings, and then watch some games. So yeah.
And do not go to Applebee's.
Yeah, do not go to Applebee's. Okay, cool.
Well, with Wayne, I'm Patrick signing off for the Ball and Breakfast podcast.